Hi, everybody. Okay, I had to let my cat out because the only time they ever have sad panda is when we are on a call. So I gotta let them out. 1 second.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
How are you guys doing? Good, good.
Good, yes. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, no worries. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited. These are giving me life, and so I'm so jacked. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the chat rolling, and it rolls over from the last week, so that's really good. So how this is going to go is we're going to have two pictures today. You guys can decide who gets to go first. Doesn't matter to me. What we're going to do is pitch. And then after that, everybody gets to give feedback. So I'd love everybody who's on the call to like unmute and give the feedback like with their voice. And then in the group, people leave the feedback afterwards. So make sure once I've uploaded it, usually takes like an hour or so for it to process. And then other people will come and give you feedback as well. So come and see that. When you are done your pitch, make sure you drop the link to whatever you're selling into the chat so I can grab it and put it in the replay also so that other people can see it. Okay, so we don't want to miss that. If you have come without your link, send it to me afterwards so I can put it on the recording. Okay, do we have a volunteer to go first? All right, it's
I'll
all
go.
you.
Ah,
Okay.
okay. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. Okay, it's Friday. All right, so let's talk about something really quick. If you ever felt like you're a different person every week of the month, one week you feel on fire, one week you feel magnetic, you're crushing your to-do list, you're feeling hot and ready, and then the next day you just you want to set your whole entire life on fire, right? You cry over a dog commercial and you just want to live, like move to a cabin in the woods by yourself, no kids, no anything. If this is how you feel, this is for you, okay? And no, it's not just about hormones being annoying. I know that's like a buzzword. Everybody's talking about hormones, hormones. Most people don't realize what hormones actually are and what they do. But this is not just about hormones, okay? This is about your body literally trying to communicate with you. The thing is that most of us were never taught how to listen to our bodies. Um, we were taught just to push through, right? To suck it up, act like we have a 24-hour cycle like men. Spoiler alert, we don't, right? So here's the deal. Our menstruating bodies don't operate on a 24-hour cycle like men's do. We run on a 20-ish dayish rhythm, right? Four distinct phases that each have their own unique vibe, energy, character, archetype, whatever you want to call it, different personalities, okay? Different strengths, different superpowers, okay? But because of the way society is set up, we're set up for the grind, for the hustle, for the same energy, everyday nonsense, right? Most of us who menstruate are living completely out of sync with our natural flow because that is the way that society has been set up. So that's probably why you're feeling like your energy is all over the place. Sometimes you're on top of the world. Some days you feel amazing. Some days you feel great. And then others you can't focus for shit, right? So you push through the exhaustion instead of working with your body, right? Your productivity seems inconsistent and you start beating yourself up over it, right? Here's the kicker. It's not actually your fault, right? You were just never given the blueprint for how to actually work with your cycle. However, imagine if you could wake up knowing exactly how to eat, what food's going to be best for your body that day, how to move, what exercise are going to be most effective, how to structure your day based on what's going on with your hormones. those little chemical messengers that send messages to every part of you, of your body, that tells you how to be, how to act, how to feel, how to respond to the world, right? Imagine if you could stop feeling like an unmotivated failure because you actually understand the shifts in your energy that's going on, right? Imagine if you knew the best time to make those big moves, to launch, to plan, to rest without feeling guilty and without shaming yourself for it. Imagine that you could start feeling better in your body, sleeping deeper, actually enjoying your cycle. I know that sounds crazy, right? Like, what? Enjoy your period. That sounds crazy, right? That's not some woo-woo fairy tale unicorn stuff, right? That is cycle mastery. And that's exactly what I teach inside of the Aligned Flow program. Now, you could spend 6 months, the next 6 months, Googling this, right? Testing it out, getting frustrated, wondering why your period still sucks. Or you can actually come inside of the Aligned Flow where I've already done all of the heavy lifting for you, and you get a total experience. So inside of this 12-week experience, I help you to decode your personal cycle blueprint because you are uniquely you. So you know exactly what your body needs intuitively. I teach you how to sync your lifestyle, your work, your habits with the energy shifts that are naturally occurring inside of your body. I teach you how to balance your hormones naturally so you're not randomly losing your shit and wondering why, right? Or having these erratic mood swings or experiencing burnout, right? And I teach you how to create rituals and embodiment practices that actually feel good for where you are and fit into your life. And also, because I'm a little extra, I'm also sending you custom tea blends that support your cycle phases. Because, you know, what kind of a cycle thinking queen that doesn't have a tea ritual? And if you don't like tea, you haven't tried mine, okay? So here's the deal. I only have 3 spots open right now for this program. If you are ready to actually master your cycle and stop working against yourself, against your body, if you're tired of feeling like your hormones are running the show every single month and this is speaking to you, and if you're actually ready to feel aligned, energized, and in control, DM me the word flow right now and I'll send you the details. Your body, I just want to let you know, like your body is so powerful and it already has all the answers that you need. We just have to listen to the symptoms, the red flags, the messages that it's sending you, and learn how to work with it instead of against it. Thank you.
Okay, I want to go first. I loved that. 10 out of 10. That was amazing. I loved how you opened with saying the week to week. I was like, that's me. I'm literally in my luteal phase this morning and I tried to bench press and it didn't go well. And I was like, I suck. So you hit me with that perfectly. I really liked when you brought in the beating yourself up over the productivity changes, because I think that is like a really specific example that people can connect to, because I feel that too. I'm like, the physical stuff I couldn't give 2 shits about, but it's like feeling bad about myself. That's like so important. And then the thing that I would like clarity on is like, when you're talking about the program, is you said that you decode your personal blueprint. So do you work one-on-one with people or is it a group program? I think that's the thing that I would say we probably would need some clarity on.
Okay. Perfect.
Also, send me the link, by the way.
Yeah.
This sounds awesome.
Awesome. Okay, great. Let's do the chat.
Okay, do you want me to read out the chat ones to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1, the thing that stood out, if you don't like my tea, you haven't tried mine, spice and comedic gold. I also love that. Number 2, a thing you would change or adjust is I would love to have a little more time With the characters, we might be week to week, really relatable. I agree. And number 3, something you'd like clarification on is how much time do I need for this? I agree. So you can answer that right now for us if you want.
Okay. Hold on. I want to save this too so I could.
Yeah, the chat, you can see the chat again afterwards as well.
Oh, you can. I've never seen that before. Okay. All right. So if you don't like, okay, perfect. A little more time with each character. Perfect. So this is actually something that I really love talking about. So when it comes to the different phases, these different characters, archetypes, I like to go with the seasons of the year because a lot of us already know and relate to the seasons, right? You know how it feels in the summertime. Everyone's at the beach, everybody's barbecuing, everybody has events and school's out and the kids are wild and crazy. That's the energy that I want you to think about when you think about your ovulatory phase, which is the phase of your cycle when you're most magnetic. You want to be with people, you want to be, there's the time that you want to launch something, you want to talk about something in a program. Maybe you have like the first opening call of something. This is the best time to do it because your body is already primed hormonally to be in connection, to want to establish bonds and all of that. Then let's move on to the luteal phase, right? The luteal, well, let's go in order. So we have the ovulatory, then we have, the luteal phase. And the luteal phase, it's like your inner fall. So think about fall, right? We start to wind down. So I like to divide this phase into 2 parts because the first half, you're still kind of winding down from summer, right? It's still a little hot, still outside. You're still doing some of the stuff. You know, people have their end of year party, Labor Day, things like that, right? So think about what you're doing. You're prepping, you're preparing. Your body is naturally primed to be more focused because this is the time when you're kind of nesting. You know, when you're gonna have a baby right before like your hormones spike and like all of a sudden everything needs to be in order and you need to make the room and do all of that. That's basically what we go into every single season, every single phase when we get to this phase. So after that, we enter, let's talk about the middle part first, right? Like the second half of the luteal phase. During this time, during the early luteal phase, your progesterone goes up and then it goes down. This is a hormone that helps us to be calm, cool, and collected, focused. It dips towards the end. This is why we start feeling this PMS. We start feeling bloated. We start feeling irritable. We start feeling fatigued, all the stuff, right? Our hormones are all going downhill. So we're going to feel that in our body. This is also the time when our intuition is most peaked and heightened. So this is a good time to, start going inward, start, setting some boundaries. This is not really the time. This is the time for batching content and releasing it, right? Because you might not feel the need to want to socialize. Then we enter our menstrual phase, which is like the dead of winter. And this is exactly what your menstrual phase is. It's a time for you to rest, to go inward. It's not really the time to go hard at the gym. Your cortisol level is going to rise and it's going to cause more harm than good. You're not optimizing your body right now for, for what it really needs to be doing. This is a time of rest and rejuvenation. I hear a lot of people that tell me that once they start resting during their menstrual phase, when they really crave that rest, they come back better than ever when you go into your follicular and into your ovulatory phase. This is just because we're cyclic, right? It's not summertime all year round, right? We need all of these phases. Then we enter our spring season, our follicular phase. This is after our menstrual phase. By the way, our menstrual cycle starts with the menstrual phase, the first day of our period. But during the follicular phase, the springtime, it's just that spring is coming, right? The birds are all of a sudden here. The flowers are starting to bloom. You're starting to feel a little bit like, I feel like myself again type of deal, right? And that's like the characters, like that's the energy that each of these phases bring. So as you can tell, with it bringing these different things, you're going to need different things during these different times, Does that make sense? And then how much time do you need for this? Do you mean like for the program? Is that for the program or for
Yeah,
just in general?
I'm pretty sure that's what Cheryl meant. How much time does the program take?
Perfect. So the program is a 12-week program. There are pre-recorded videos, and then there are bi-weekly calls where we come together to implement what we're learning through the program and talk about it and, you know, get coaching and get our questions answered. Because when I say decode, right, I mean like I teach you how to understand what's going on. So we start off by learning how to track your cycle. And I don't mean just knowing when to put that your period's here. I mean like knowing when you're ovulating, knowing when you're in each of these phases. Then we go into understanding the patterns, because when you start tracking, now you start seeing things that are like, oh, this was the same thing last month. We start identifying these patterns, and then I teach you how to support yourself through each of these patterns that you notice and through each of the phases, how to eat, how to exercise, what kind of self-care is the most important, because self-care looks different during each of the phases, right? It's not always just resting. Sometimes you got to go hard, like when you're ovulating, right? Because that is self-care, meeting yourself where you are. Anybody has any other questions? Oh, can't hear you.
Oh, was someone going? I just that was really good. I didn't see the questions for how to formulate my responses, and I wasn't on last week's call, so this is not in that format as per my usual. My life is a shit show. I just wanted to, at the very end, you said, your body is so powerful, and this program will help you become in alignment with that, or something along those words. And that immediately grabbed me. Like it was like, I'm powerful, I'm not a disaster. And so instead of ending with that, I think it, for me personally, would resonate a lot more if you started with that. Like I'm powerful, and there's something I can do to not feel like I'm constantly in this chaotic place, and how to work with that. I don't know why. For me though, as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, this is for me. And if I'd heard that at the beginning, it would have grabbed me. Not that I didn't listen to everything you said, but it would have like really been like, this is for me. So that's very personal, but it's my feedback all the same.
Thank you.
Can I go next? I love that you shared that, because I do like a lot with like inner work and whatnot. So I really like that too, putting it in the beginning, because it's like getting to know. Sometimes it's like, especially with like health and like hormones, like feeling like you have to learn something outside of yourself and have like all these educational pieces can get like really overwhelming. So the fact that you're just focusing on like the person individually and learning more about them and diving deeper into that you already have all the answers inside, feels like a sigh of relief from this end of like, oh, because there's thousands of information out here, but I'm just learning and deepening this relationship. Because I know the women in my world be like, yes, please. So I just wanted to say that. One of the things, and maybe I just, but yeah, that was one of the things that stood out for me, too, resonating with that. One of the things, and I could have just like missed it, but it was like 2/3 of your pitch where you're like, imagine, taking these steps in the right places. And then you talked about, posting content, batching content, and then launching. And I started to feel kind of disconnected, because I didn't remember at the beginning, like if this is specifically for business owners or if this is for like everyday Jane, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, not everyone in my world is launching, you know, but I didn't get the impression that it was for somebody in business until you said something like that. And I was like, ooh. But maybe I don't know. Is it for business owners specifically, or is it kind of for I guess that's
So
my question.
yeah, so I talk about thinking like the lifestyle, the work, the habits. I feel like this is for anyone, right? Because not like anyone, but like if you're menstruating and your mom, cycle alignment is still so important for you. For me personally, like I'm a homeschooling mom, I'll align like what I'm teaching my kids and how I'm showing up for my kids with my cycle because that way I could optimize it because I truly believe that it works in every single area of your life because it's that important.
Okay.
So yeah, so I guess I should like definitely um give like examples. I guess I was gonna give like example of like if you're launching, if you're a business, but also I guess I didn't add the, you know, if you're a mom, like just knowing like when to plan these big events, when, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So thank you
Okay.
for that.
Because one of the ideas I had was like if it is specifically for like business owners, like online or just business owners in general, I kind of felt like that'd be super fucking cool because it's like you have all this like strategy that you're already doing, and then you get to create harmony with like the superpower of your body and be like, oh my God. Like I had that moment in my head and I was like, I don't know if that is like your angle, but it's definitely like a possibility because I've yet to see that of like, oh, you're organizing all this. Now you have hormones. How do you make this come together and really use it? You know, because it's like we all have those moments where like, I feel like creating content. No, I don't. How do I navigate that? You know what I mean? So I just like I wanted to share that with you.
Okay.
But yeah. Otherwise, overall, I was like, yeah, I'm leaning in. I'm curious. So great educational pieces too.
Thank you.
I also think like because you can work with anybody, but you can be specific, like reading, like obviously here we're all entrepreneurs. So I think that was exactly right. Speaking the entrepreneurial example, but then if you're in a different room, like if somebody asked you to come into their mom group, you know, I think that it was exactly right talking about two entrepreneurs because that's who's in this room. So I think that was really good. And because you can work with kind of everybody, but also be specific, like just wherever you are, then using examples of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does anybody else want to go before we move on? No, good. Okay. All right, Cheryl, are you ready? Thank you very much. That was amazing, and you did a great job. So now, Cheryl, I pass the baton to you. Let's go.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl. I use they, them pronouns, and I won't get mean to you if it's new for you. So today I am going to teach through storytelling. If you find that you relate to parts of this story, I invite you to get curious, follow those threads and write them down, and we can revisit them later together. If we have time here, great. If it's in the DMs, great. Bring it over to the group. Let's continue the conversations because what I have found in the last 3 years is that as I share my story more and more, I'm finding I'm cracking a lot of eggs. And what that means as an autistic, late discovered person who's high masking and high achieving is that there are a lot of people who missed getting support and diagnostics and even being spotted. They've been misdiagnosed. They can't figure out why life doesn't work for them, why all the stuff that everyone finds hard is easy for them, and all the stuff that everyone finds easy is really, really hard for them. And if you relate to my story, I would like to invite you to just get really, really curious, and maybe there's nothing wrong with you and you're just different, okay? So I remember having to self-advocate for myself to get glasses at around the age of 12. I know, that's shocking. Prior to that, my mother just told the doctor, Cheryl is just jealous because their brother is having glasses. Because I had a brother who's 18 months older than me, and I was his little shadow, and I followed him around everywhere. It turns out years later, I'm non-binary, but I thought I was a boy, and I thought I was a girl, and I thought I was like whatever I wanted to be. And so I just was that thing. But I can promise you, I was not jealous of my brother at 12 years old, because in the 90s, you still got beat up at lunchtime for wearing glasses. It was not cool, trendy, or stylish yet. We didn't have all these different kinds of frames that made us the envy of our friends. We got called names and were made fun of, and it was not great. So I passed every single vision test I ever had because I memorized charts. Back in the day, those charts were paper charts. They were standardized. They were in every eye doctor room. And when you're taking a test, it's important that you get the answers right. Those are the rules. If you get the answers right, you pass the test. So heck, if I was going to get the answers wrong, I could read the bottom because I memorized it. I had a memory that if I read something, I would remember. But I remember being in school and having a really hard time. When the teachers would call on me, I wouldn't know the answer because my auditory processing, now I know this, has difficulty filtering all of the information out around me and just paying attention to the facts that the teacher's teaching. So then the teacher invited me to sit closer to the front, and suddenly I could see the board, and I was the smartest kid in the class. I could write notes that weren't missing any words. All of my dates for social studies, AKA history, were no longer guesstimates. The teacher took me to the school nurse, the one that I went to. I remember having one that showed me a chart I'd never seen before, and they did a distance test. So this chart, instead of having letters on it, it had like shapes, right? Because it's elementary school. So there was like butterflies and oranges and whatever. And I could tell what color something was, but not what it was. And so I had no depth perception. I was constantly bumping into things. I was missing the surfaces. I was walking into walls if I didn't watch my feet with every step. And yet, the professional gaslighter in my life, known as Mom, womp womp, thought I was just jealous of my older brother. Turns out, I actually have a quarter turn dysfunction with my optic nerve in my right eye that can only be corrected with glasses. And I remember after advocating and advocating and advocating for myself to get glasses, I stepped outside and I was like, wait, pine trees have needles? Like I had no idea. Every single thing I had seen in my entire life up until I was 12 years old was blurry, out of focus, and looked like a 2D art project. So later in my life, this observing things and doing my best and just going forward and advocating for myself kept happening. It kept happening. So I became hyperverbal as a way to over-explain and make sure that I was communicating well and that I understood everything. However, I fail to notice then and now when it is very obvious on people's faces that I've spoken about something for too long or said something that's socially inappropriate in the context. And most people think that I'm being funny or intentionally obnoxious for a laugh, and I don't even know why they're laughing. So for a long time, I thought that they were making fun of me because I don't see myself as funny. And the way neurotypical folks perceive me, I don't actually understand why everyone is laughing most of the time because I'm literally just being myself and saying what I've observed. So the words I say are how I think. So I started to internalize that no one would take me seriously. And so I stopped taking myself seriously. I stopped saying what was on my mind because everyone would laugh and I thought that they weren't believing me. So when I asked why they were laughing at, because I genuinely wanted to know, they would say things like, "You're so funny, you should try stand up." And now today people are like, "Liv must laugh all day. Well, with you at home." And I'm like, what? Like, I just don't understand. I still don't understand. My mother referred to me as a social butterfly simply because I do not know how to shut up. not because I was actually good at building relationships and having friends. I remember one time being put in a corner and having to restart my 30-second punishment every single time I moved or spoke. And it took me 25 minutes to serve my first 30-second timeout. You're welcome. So now this quirk presents itself in interpersonal situations where I don't even realize that I'm speaking out loud until someone's like, can you stop interrupting me? And I'm like, wait, that was on the outside of my head? I'm so sorry. Each time it happens, it hurts. And I shrink a little more. And each time it happens, I'm faced with a choice to make it personal, to make it about me, or our relationship, or I can choose to love and accept that I won't always know when to stop talking. And that the people who love me and accept me will understand that sometimes they need to tell me to be quiet so that I can honor their needs too. So while coming out as queer and even non-binary seems like a big idea, it was way easier than admitting to myself or to someone outside of myself that I identified more with autistic experiences. As media evolved, like even though it's very limited, but as media evolved on TV and movies and books, I understood the inflexibility, even though you wish you could be more flexible. I understood the sensory overwhelm and the 2 to 5 week recovery time from any kind of big adventure or change. I understood the unexplained pain, the illness, and the very real symptoms that nobody would connect together as autism, because they would try to treat each thing separately. I was articulate, so I couldn't be autistic. I had friends, so I couldn't be autistic. I have a relationship and a loving partner, so I couldn't be autistic. But these rules are not based in science or data. They're based in social stigma. So in reality, I was caught up in a strange game of make-believe where only I knew I was pretending. No one in my family or support networks had any idea how much I was struggling. And when I did let my guard down a little bit, they just thought it was burnout or anxiety or PTSD or a trauma response or any number of things going on. Cheryl's just really sensitive and stressed in stressful situations, but they're absolutely who you want to have in a crisis. So while there is not much research focused on people like me who can mask their autism so completely from those around them, and sometimes even themselves, so instead of waiting for that research, I started to find peers in the community, and we started creating this network where it's like you're self-diagnosed and peer-reviewed. If 10 autistic people agree with the fact that you're autistic, it doesn't matter if you have $6,000 for an assessment, okay? So if you take a minute and think about all of the people in your life who are creative, who are a little bit out there, whose sweaters make them angry sometimes if the lights are too loud, who like freak out when someone touches them without consenting in like a disproportionate way. Think of how many people in your day-to-day life who you think are maybe just a little odd. They're maybe just a little sensitive to sound. They maybe phrase things in certain ways. They're maybe always the person who has the most adept hot take and then doesn't know when to stop talking. If you have more of those people in your life than not, chances are you're somewhere on the neurodivergent spectrum, which is an umbrella term that houses everything from ADHD and autism to various personality disorders. And I would love to talk to you about that another time. But one of the big things I would love to talk to you about is pocket coaching and why I started it. Because you can imagine you're unable to read social cues, you have a hard time being perceived on video and camera, you mask, which means you do whatever seems appropriate in the context that you're in so that nobody thinks you're inappropriate, yeah? That coaching in spaces like this, with lots of videos, lots of perspectives, might not be effective for you, right? So how do I do that? I created an on-demand service where people can be as involved or as slow-paced as they need. Everyone gets the same price. Everyone gets the same access, and it's all done through your cell phone. You do not have to have a video call unless you want to. What? Hands up if you felt like you had to save every single thing that ever happened to you or mattered to you in a month to hop on a call with your coach and maximize the time. Okay. And then you get there and the thing that you saved, it doesn't even apply anymore. And so now you feel like this call is a complete waste of time, and you panic and you just say things that don't really matter, and you wasted like a $700 call, and you're like, oh my God, I can't even do coaching right. I quit at life. Hands up if you bought a course and never finished it. One of the reasons that might happen is that courses are often built for neurotypical brains that follow a linear structure to process in their minds. So going da 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 on a course, you get to video number 3, it's not applicable to you. You think the entire thing is a waste of money, and you throw it all out and have a shame spiral. Coaching programs felt too rigid. There was no room for your natural rhythm. There was no room to be like, I don't know what that word you just said means, because they would just repeat it slower. and you weren't any more enlightened than you used to be. Most coaching programs assume that one size fits all strategies will work for everyone, including the way they structure and deliver the material. You need more support between calls, not just during them, and you feel guilty asking for that. Coaching without real-time support can feel disconnected for neurodivergent brains, partly because of novelty and dopamine, partly because of object permanence. We can talk about that on another call. And do you struggle with energy and focus, making traditional coaching feel draining? How many of you have gotten on a 1-hour coaching call, and by 20 minutes, you're like, okay, I got everything I need. Why do we still have to be here? Why are we talking? Or you spider web everywhere and it takes you 45 minutes to get to the point. That's why voice note coaching and text coaching is so supportive. You're out of spoons, you don't have any more spoons to use your voice? Great, text. Send memes. I will ask you questions. I will find the way that communication works for you, and we will 1% at a time get you closer to your goal. I would love to hear your feedback and your experience in coaching thus far. Thank you for listening.
I'll say something. Yeah, you know, I actually really love voice, like, or not voice, like the, you know, the audio coaching and the riffs and things like that. I find a lot of value. So I've been doing that more in my space and offering like just that community, that continuous community aspect. And I've been really enjoying that. So I think that, and plus with the having to get on a call all the time, like even like I'm in like all the things because I won that package, you know, in Casey's world. And like some of the calls I just don't get on because like I just, you know, I'd rather go and create content or do something else. Like I don't want to have to be on a call for an hour, right? Like and
Absolutely.
sometimes I'll just put like, you know, I'll just turn off the video and whatnot, but I'm somebody that loves to be moving. And even with my work, a lot of the times, like I'm moving while I'm trading, I'm doing multiple things, and I don't get any less value. Like I actually get more value by just following my own rhythm and flow of things. And I think a lot of people can agree to that, like, you know, and that's a really great way to do it is have just that space where you can do riffs and people can just be on the go as they want to receive coaching. I love that.
Beautiful. Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah.
I also thought you did an amazing job. I really loved the glasses thing that were like really painted a picture. And then when you said the pine tree thing, I was like, "Oh," like it connected really well, especially like being a kid and now having kids. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, kids, like they don't ask for things in a nice, polite, packaged way. They just are like, this isn't working for me. And I loved that. And then the part where you said the rules aren't based in science, they're based on social stigma. I loved that. I feel like you could talk about that forever. That is like, I think something that was really connecting because it's not, I feel like so much of this is people are like, oh, whatever, like it's not that big a deal. But like your story and then saying that really connected, like it is a fucking big deal. And this is why. And I think those two connections was really, really important. And then I also just laughed when you said they're the people with the best hot take, but then they don't know how to stop talking about it because I have so many of those people. I have so many neurospices in my life, and that is on point. And then when you were talking about your actual content or the pocket coaching, and you said, I will find a way to communicate with you. I loved that. And I think that if you have a sales page or something like that, needs to be priority on it because of the people that you're helping. Like maybe the things you've described isn't exactly how they want to do it, but you're gonna find a way. And I thought that was like one of the most key important things for me. The question I have is when you say it doesn't matter like how we have to communicate, this price is the same for everyone. How do you manage that with like your own energy, and like how do you make a blanket price and then some people get more hours and some people don't? Or
thus far, no one has been in my DMs all day, every day, because of the way that neurodivergent folks work. And most of the people in who take it up with me are assigned female at birth and also have hormonal cycles, which ruin everything. The sensory experience of a dysregulated hormone cycle is a vibe. Anyway, so right now I cap it at, I take 5 people a month. And when I get to 25, a wait list starts. So I manage my own energy because I could talk to anyone and respond to anyone all of the time. Knowledge and connecting are 2 of my special interests. So it doesn't actually exhaust me. The part that exhausts me is learning how to communicate with a new person. So that's why I cap it at 5. So I take 5 people on each month. And if say I already have 5, I will take 5 the next month, and then I'll have 10, because by the end of the month, it's not work. It's just fun. And then I'll add like another person. And then my 25 is an arbitrary number because I used to be a camp program counselor, like program manager, and I used to be in charge of 165 people's lives before I even knew how to manage my own shit. So I figured 25 would be doable.
okay, that's amazing. Yeah, cool. Who else wants to give some feedback?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I really enjoy listening to you, Cheryl. I really do. I loved, like, from the beginning, just you introducing yourself and, saying that little joke about how, if you don't do it right, it's okay, but, I won't. Like, to me, that felt very warm, right off the bat. Like Stephanie said, you pulled at my heartstrings a lot. And I think that that's really important, because people buy with their feelings, right? Like we're feelers. We like want to feel it. So that's something that I could definitely learn from you. And let's see. My only question, so I thought it was amazing. Like I love the stories. I love how you connected it all together. I love the way you take your time and it's very clear. I like that. Like when you're talking, like it's very clear and like intentional. It feels like I like that. So my only thing was the boundaries. Like, okay, so like I would be in your DMs 24/7. So like I'm just saying.
Absolutely. That's a really great question. And I usually, that's part of like the first set like chat I have with clients is I want you to let me manage my own boundaries and not worry about it, because I give them a very specific, I will respond to you in the pockets of my day between this time and this time. You will always receive a response within 48 hours or less during Monday to Saturday. Let me manage my own boundaries. You're not responsible for me. You are responsible for you. And that is like the first lesson in empowerment, is you don't have to manage other people. And you get to practice that with me. And like, I don't know what the word is, but I'm like, I don't know, who's that guy? Someone tell me, from Karate Kid, who like makes you think it's your idea. I'm doing that to people.
I love it. Yeah, I love this concept. I think that this is like revolutionary because I honestly feel like, yeah, I like I would rather, it's like having a friend in your pocket. I love that. All right, thank you.
Sorry, I'm slow to find and unmute, but okay.
Womp womp.
I loved everyone's feedback. There's really not much to say. Because the story had me. Like, I gotta admit, at the little bit at the beginning before the story, I felt kind of disconnected, and I was like, "What's happening?" But then the second you started your story, I was like, "Okay, I'm locked in." And then, like you said about sharing the perspective with like the tree and the glasses, I was just dumbfounded because I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because it is societal norms for a lot of things. I'm just like, we're here to shatter that shit. So I was excited and rooting for you. One of the things that kind of made me feel a little like, was because I don't know how to describe that in words. Is like at the end you're like, okay, I'm gonna be in your pocket. I love Voxer, I love Telegram for this exact reason, because I love hearing voices and energy and just connecting that way. Because it's healing in of itself. But the thing that kind of again just made me feel like, oh, was like at the end when he just ended with the word goal.
Mm.
And I was like, what does that mean? What's the goal? Like, I'm sure it's like to help you navigate your life, embodying what you have and really embracing that. But what, like, spell it out for me? Because I was like, goal. I was like, oh, just like
Yeah,
everybody.
goal is a weird
like, I
word.
didn't mean to do that, but I was just like, oh, I can help you achieve your goals. I'm like, well, that's boring and gross.
I can help you even identify what a goal is.
Right. So it's just like, it's just help me just keep holding my hand versus like, oh, your goal. Like, that's just how I felt from this side. But otherwise it was like, I'm locked in. It was very, very good. And just like, again, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
Oh, good.
Okay, Cheryl, just super quick. That was so good. And as somebody who is very neuro spicy as well, I feel like it's the same feedback I have from the last one, but when you got to the very end and you're like, hands up if, and I was like, oh me, oh me, oh me. And just the way my brain works, when you started with this story, there was a little bit of my brain wander that happened where I'm like, hey, that's her story and that's not me. So then I kind of traveled off. But if it had started with, hey, does this resonate with you? Like, hands up if, I was like, oh, but that is me. Oh, I resonate with that. I'm listening now. And so it almost feels to me like if you bookended your story, my attention would have stayed a bit easier, because I need that space of, if that, like, your story didn't resonate with me, so I wasn't fully listening.
I love that feedback.
Sorry.
No, I
That
love
sounds-
that feedback because the last part was what's the word? It was just a riff, and the first part was an excerpt from the book I'm working on.
That's what grabbed me, was the part where it just was like you speaking to me, because I was like, okay, I'm invested now.
That's really good feedback. Like, you don't have to feel sorry. That's excellent and very helpful.
Yeah, but I love the story too, so bookend it. Like, do some of it. This is about you, now I have your attention. Now this is about me and why I built this program. And then let's get back to you and tie in how my experiences can help you almost. Thank you. It was so good though.
Yes, I agree. Okay, I think everybody's had a turn to reply. Yeah, okay. Well done, everyone. That was amazing. I loved it. Okay, anybody who's watching the replay, make sure that you put your feedback into the group and then hit the link so that you can check it out, because we can also leave feedback on the sales pages or whatever is dropped in. So please hit the link. I'm going to have them in the description of the video. And anybody who's like, fuck yeah, I want to pitch, make sure that you sign up under the pitch sign up, which is in the pitch section of the Telegram. I'm really proud of everybody who is here. Thank you everyone for your feedback. I know that sometimes it's intimidating to give feedback. So well done, everyone. And this is why I fucking love this group, because this is just right. And now I have so many more ideas and I'm so excited for what everyone's sharing. Okay, the recording will be up real soon. Well done, everyone. And I will see you all soon. Bye.